Welcome to Franchise Empires, where aspiring entrepreneurs learn exactly what it takes to become a successful franchise owner, from one location to 10 and beyond. I'm the Wolf of Franchises.
Hey everyone, it's the Wolf. Today in the show, we have the one and only Gas Biz Guy. If you're on Twitter, you likely know his account. If you're not on Twitter, you're missing out. Gas Biz Guy gives us the details on all things related to owning a gas station, and we get into it all in this conversation. Hope you enjoy.
The Wolf of Franchises is the CEO of Wolfpack Franchising, as well as a creator at Workweek Media. All opinions expressed by the Wolf and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Wolfpack Franchising or Workweek. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. The Wolf, Workweek, and Wolfpack Franchising may maintain positions in the franchises discussed on this podcast.
All right, this is what I wanted to actually lead off with is I did a thread on, speaking of threads, I did a thread on Wawa, I think in the fall or maybe a few months ago, and my mentions were filling up with people saying, hey, you didn't ask at Gas Biz Guy for permission.
Yes.
Dude, let's just start there. What the heck was that all about, man?
So what happened is so I have claimed the gas space on Twitter. I have just,
Yes.
You're
the guy.
Unilaterally, I have decided I'm the only guy on Twitter that can talk about gas stations. So something happened. Somebody sent a tweet out, and I was like, "Hey, look, dude, you cannot send anything about gas stations out without tagging me, man. I'm sorry, and if you do, you're muted, or I'm going to block you, or there was going to be some punishment involved with that."
Yeah.
And so it started, then it kind of like gained some traction, some momentum. And so what would happen is if somebody said something about gas stations that I did not approve, that I wasn't tagged, I'd get in their thread and I'd start roasting them. Okay. And I'd start like killing whoever created the original tweet or the original poster. And then it just kind of got like it's died off because I had to lay off because I was like, this is getting crazy. So I actually got on ChatGPT and came up with a and in fact, I think I may have even done it on yours, where I copied and pasted the ChatGPT, which is the GBG Gas Biz Guy terms of service violation.
Yes. Yeah, that did happen.
And so I went in ChatGPT and had it do some fake terms of service violation that you created, threatening to shut down your account for not tagging me, because when Elon did his rollout and he bought the company, that was negotiated into the deal is that there would be this new terms of service. So it was just genuinely a bit that I just created myself, but it really it kind of helped cement what I was trying to do, which is make me the guy that was like, if you want to know something about gas stations, please refer to the Gas Biz Guy account.
Well, it certainly worked because honestly, I mean, the most impressive part about that is it's just your audience really followed through, because again, it started with one comment. I was like, hey, did you ask, Gas Biz Guy for permission? And I was like, all right, like, I don't really get what that's about. Then another one popped in. Then another one popped in. Then a few DMs popped in. And I'm like, all right, I thought this was like a joke. Now it feels kind of serious. And eventually before responding, I was like, all right, relax, Wolf, it's Twitter here. And I could see, I was like, okay, this is clearly like part of his shtick that I just didn't know about.
Yeah, I've had a couple of them over the year and a half that I've been doing this, where it's just like, it's got to be fun. I mean, Some people take this thing too serious, and I just want to enjoy myself. But it was really funny because the audience loved it. I still get them today. I'll get one today, and somebody says, "Hey, at Gas Biz," because this guy put up a picture of a gas station. So it really built the engagement and helped my account out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was very impressed because, to see that amount of followers go to bat for you over like a joke, it was just impressive. It shows, it's testament, honestly, as funny as it is, I do think it's a good testament to the community you're building online and the knowledge you're sharing on the gas business. So, man, love seeing that, honestly. I will be very careful the next time I post about gas stations, but I figure maybe we can neutralize your army with this podcast.
Yeah,
Anyway,
they're
yeah,
rabid. I have spent a lot of time engaging and creating relationships with my audience. I really have. If you're a guy who's a regular responder, I'm going to be in your replies as well.
nice. Yeah, that's a good way to be, to actually respond and engage people. So, well, speaking of kind of your Twitter account, I'm looking at your bio right now, and it says high school dropout who turned a 10-cent cigarette sale into a $100 million a year gas distribution business. So, what is, and I've read, your tweets on this and all that, but I think it'd be good for the audience who maybe isn't familiar with you. Yeah, what was that like, dropping out of high school? How did this all happen? At least let's just start with like chapter one.
Okay, so my family owned a gas station in downtown Atlanta. I grew up in a split household. Okay, and so I was living with my mom, and then I'd visit my dad on the weekends. So on the weekends, I would work at the gas station and just cutting grass, cleaning bathrooms, stocking coolers, just the basics. Okay, so did it my whole life. And when I was in high school, I think there was a couple things going on. I think I have some sort of a learning disability where I just was I just could not get the idea. I couldn't figure out why I was here in school. Probably like a lot of people did. And then I'm very hard-headed. I'm very defiant. And I decided at that point I was through with school. And this was not a popular decision in the house by any stretch. And so I went, after I made that decision, my dad said, well, that's great. If you want to drop out of high school, then you have to work. And so at that point, I was presented with the opportunity to work at the gas station, and I worked the second shift. So I worked at the second shift at the gas station in downtown Atlanta. And that's where I really, learned the industry. It was never like everything I've done is self-taught. I watched my dad, but my dad did not say, this is how you do this, and this is how you do this. I just kind of watched and got experience doing it. And so I did that for a long time. And while I was there, I picked up bad habits. I'm working downtown Atlanta, started smoking cigarettes. And there's a lot of people who, when you're working in the inner city, who have no money, panhandlers and whatever. And they're coming up to me going, hey, may I have a cigarette? And, you did it for as long as you could. And then you're going, look, man, I started off making $3 a day, then $5 a day. And then my dad moved me up to minimum wage, and I felt like it was raining. Okay. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm making $3 an hour. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a little over, let's call it $3.25 an hour. So I was making, $3 an hour. And the people were wanting a cigarette. And I was like, look, I can't afford both of our habits. Give me a dime, I give you the cigarette. And so we started doing that. And that's what led to the next thing. Okay, which was my check cashing business. But that's all it was. I started selling the cigarettes one at a time. And, the lesson there that I want people to understand is like, you do not know when your next big opportunity is coming from. You will probably meet your spouse in a situation when you least expect it. And you will probably get into your career or your industry from a way that you didn't expect, just something small, and how it can spark, and just how one thing leads to another. So that's how that started out. So sold the cigarettes, kind of built that up, and it gave me the seed money to get into my check cashing business.
Damn. Okay. Wow. That's that's a hell of a starting spot, man. $3 a day. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. It was, but you're living at home. You're eating parents' food. It's just like, it's not like, I needed anything, I'd cut the grass at home. I got $7. So I guess I was valued more at home than I was at the gas station.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, talk to me about, honestly, as a millennial, I have no idea what a check cashing business is. So I'll just straight up say that.
This is hilarious. Okay. So there is a part of our population that is unbankable. Okay. And so they cannot have bank accounts.
Yep.
Right. So in order for whatever reason, whether they were an immigrant, whether they, like the check system like if you've written a bunch of bad checks, you can't open a checking account because you've got whatever it is. Okay. And so I was just standing there one day and a Spanish gentleman walks in the door and says, "Cambiamos de cheques." And I was like, "What does that mean?" And that means change the check. Okay. And I was like, "Okay, yep." I was like, "Let me see the check." And he shows me the check, and I think it was $342 if I'm not mistaken. And I was like, "Shoot, that's a lot of money." But I had been stockpiling the money in that cup because what I'd do whenever I'd sell a single cigarette, I'd put the money in a cup. And then after I got 10 dimes, I took the 10 dimes out and put it in a dollar. Once I got $10 out, I'd take $10 out, put it in 10. But I never took this money out of the cup, but I left the cup there at the gas station. And it was a family business, so I could do this, right? Yeah. It was not, I was working for the local guy I didn't know. So the guy says, "Can you change my check?" I was like, "How much?" And he says, $5. Or I said $5. And I was like, "Dude, it takes me 5 packs of cigarettes to make $5. And it takes me 2-3 days to sell, 5 packs of cigarettes." And I was like, "I'll do it. Forget it." Like, I was like, I got nothing to lose. This is all found money. I took the money out of the cup. I cashed his check. And this goes before, the laws have changed a lot. And this is in the 90s. So I cash his check. And then what I'm able to do, because now I'm bankable, I could take his check and put it in my bank account. And I get the full face value of the check. Okay. Wow. So I charged him $5. I only gave him $337. And then I got a check for $342. Not big money, but it's like, what the hell, Well, then he comes in with 5 guys, 5 of his friends a few weeks later. And so we took those 5 guys and we started cashing their checks. And when at the end of the story, kind of fast track it, I was cashing around $2 million in payroll checks a month when that got done.
Holy crap!
That was how large we built the business in just a couple years' time.
Damn. All right, that's crazy.
Now what happens is all those people I took so much bandwidth from the bank that was like the block down that they were charging $5. They fired me as a customer because I took such a big chunk of their revenue stream that I had to start cashing checks down the road or banking down the road because they wouldn't let me do this anymore. And now what happened is now those guys had their check money in my store now because I ended up buying the gas station in between there. So in the process of building this check cashing business, my dad retired. Okay. I bought 25% of his gas station. Nice. And then my business partner bought 75%. Okay. And so in that time, that check cashing business was growing because it didn't grow in the first week or month. It took us months before we kind of really got going. Bought my dad out and we started, cashing these payroll checks. Now all that money's in my store for the people to spend inside my store. Okay. So now all of a sudden they started buying beer and cigarettes and lottery tickets and whatever. So then my store sales blew up. Nice. Okay. So we went from, just an average grocery, convenience store to we were the busiest one in town. I mean, I don't know anyone was doing more than we were doing. It was insane.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good segue, man. Cause this is like, I want to give the audience the gas business 101, right? And you're just talking about your food sales, your beer sales inside your store. I mean, sure. Gas stations, man, are we making money off the gas here? Or is it, hey, the gas is just the excuse to get them into our orbit and we're really making all the money inside the convenience store if we're doing our job right? What should a gas station operator be thinking going into something like that?
This is, I'm going to give you the more complicated answer because if I give you the diluted version, everybody will just tell me I'm a liar. Okay. Because I've done this. I've posted this before and they go, "You're crazy." Sure. So the national average, California to New York, Florida to Washington is 30 cents a gallon. Okay. That is all grades combined. That is before credit card fees. And this is important because this is the one that a lot of guys and I go back and forth on. And so I only may make 10 cents on unleaded, but maybe I'm making 25 cents on premium profit.
Is that, are we talking a gallon?
A gallon profit. Okay. So let's say I'm making 10 cents on unleaded and 25 cents on premium, and maybe I'm making 50 cents on diesel. By the time I put all those products together and I'm selling 10% premium or 15% premium and 70%, unleaded and whatever is left over, 10% diesel, I put all those together, I'm going to get around 30 cents before obviously any licensing or permitting or credit card fees. Because for me, a credit card fee is not a cost of goods. It is an operating expense. There are two different arguments on that camp. I'm going what we use in the industry, which is the National Association of Convenience Stores. When we look at gross margin, that is before a credit card fee, because a credit card fee, it'd be just like you saying, okay, so you do franchises and Jimmy John sells subs. And if their margin is 40% on a sub, it's not, their margin is not after credit card fees. So then it's like, well, what other fee? Is it after lights and insurance? And I mean, then that gets me down to the true net margin.
Yeah.
Not the gross profit on it. So as it stands right now, we're at 30 cents, which is higher than it has been. Okay. Keep in mind, it used to be your parents, I don't know how old they are, probably close to my age, just from talking to you. We would drive all over town to save 5 cents. Well, the problem is 5 cents isn't anything anymore. It's like it's 5 cents is nothing. Yep. The only time someone wants to try to save the money is if they feel like they really feel like, they've beat the system, or they just have to get the best deal on everything. For me, we sell convenience. We don't, gas is a product in our convenience store. We sell convenience.
Amazing. All right. So as I expected, gas, slim margins, right? So, I mean, strategically, right? Like I look at, my novice brain as far as it comes to the gas business, because look, there are some franchises out there from like Raceway and Valvoline, but for the most part it's just a totally different animal. So it's something I haven't really focused on. Typically the franchises I talk about are either service brands, like home service businesses, or a lot of brick and mortar, like the concepts that you could see in a strip mall. And when I think about the gas business, I'm like, I don't think I'd want to do this, because it's a commodity. It's like the definition of a commodity business, right? Like, what's the difference? Like, no one's got brand affinity to my Sunoco versus a Valvoline versus a Texaco, whatever. However, Wawa, Buc-ee's,
yes.
Sheetz.
Yes.
There are these there's like this convenience store / gas station war at a regional level starting to converge. Yes. And there are cult followings with these businesses.
Absolutely.
So, to me, is this accurate to say that that there is a way then to like win on not just brand, but like value and experience at your quote unquote gas station?
Absolutely. And I think that this is the part that, that I'm really trying to convey to my audience.
Yeah.
Is a lot of people say it's all about price. And if you make it all about price, and that's your only competitive advantage is price, you got an uphill battle on your hands. And they have done a great job of just doing, let's call it blocking and tackling. They do it right. They're going to hit the basics, which is the pumps are going to be clean. The store is going to be well lit. There is not going to be a bunch of clutter in front of the store. There's the bathrooms are going to be clean. That's just 101.
Yep.
Okay. Now what we've done is we've said, most of them have developed a really good food service program. Okay. And so that seems to be the differentiator between the two, between the people who are just kind of status quo and then the people who've really elevated themselves, is they have figured out to make the experience good. Because buying gasoline is one of the most, I haven't seen the most recent numbers on this, but it was commonly known as one of the things that least desirable things for people to do. Nobody wants to buy gas. Like nobody's like, I cannot wait to buy gas. They figure out how to make it into, this is fun. Like I can go here and stop and get beef jerky and, beaver nuggets or a great sandwich and great pizza. And I mean, you're a franchise guy. I mean, let's say Casey's is selling like the 5th largest pizza organization in the country. Like they have figured out how to do that. And it's not all about just being having the best price. So it is unbelievable what they've done.
And so when you look at your businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many locations make up that 100 million, but do you have a consistent brand, a consistent experience, or are you just at least applying these tactics to different Yeah.
I want to be really clear on that. Okay. On the 100 million. So $100 million revenue in our industry is just okay. I'm not a big dude. Okay. Yeah. Because we're selling gas. Let me put it in simpler terms for you. Let's say a load of gas is $30,000. Okay. Well, if I sold 10 loads of gas a day, I'm doing $300,000 a day times 365. You know what I'm saying? So it's not this big revenue number. It's a big number, but it's not a big net. Okay. So when you're wholesaling gasoline, you have a very slim margin. You have a very slim operating expense because you don't have, Class A office space and sitting at the corner of Main and Main. We were doing that revenue in a 1,500 square foot office space.
Wow. Okay.
Me and two other people. I mean, it's not this massive number. Out of that, I built a real estate portfolio, and I built a couple different things. I was, just a kind of little context, I started off as a store operator. So I ran the gas stations, physically ran the gas stations. I was a builder. I was a developer of gas stations. Then I became a wholesaler. So what happened then is I'm selling the gas to the gas stations.
Okay.
And to speak to your question about brands. So if you just bought a gas station, you cannot just call a truck and say, hey, go up there and get me a load of Chevron gas or Exxon gas. You have to buy from somebody. In my case, where I live, you have to buy from a distributor. So the distributor then has the brands. He has access to the brands. But the brand is not going to let you have access to unless you have a certain volume of business you can buy from them. They're not going to just show me, hey, you buy a load of gas a week, you're going to have a contract. I mean, dude, you're wasting our time. Yep. So if let's say the threshold is 1 million gallons a month, I then can have that. I get the 2 million gallons. Now I can pick up another brand. And then, you kind of start having a bigger menu. So you have more guys who are mom and pops that you can sell gas to.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, given all this, the margins are tough. I think, I saw, this relates to it, right? I saw a video on your Twitter feed where you kind of break down the expected cost to build a new location. And I think it was like around, you said like between 2.5, I think, to 3.5 million, but then you're like on the high end, it could be as much as 5 million when you're all in on everything. What's to me, it sounds like a long payback period, or is this what I'm missing here? Yeah.
It is. So and interesting enough, I got to talking to a lot of my guys around the country. I know a lot about my market. You start getting me out into areas I've never even stepped foot on. Yeah, I can't claim authority of those areas.
Okay.
But I talk to those guys who are in those markets. They're saying, 8 million, that's what it costs to build a store. And so that's when people are saying we're making 2 or 3 cents a gallon. Listen, nobody's selling enough gas to pay for it, making 2 cents a gallon and doing a $5 million build out. That's not accurate. Yep. Okay. It's not possible. Okay. So that is another reason why you're starting to see margins expand. And that is because people we have figured out are willing to pay a little bit more money for a better experience, for a clean bathroom and decent employees. So we can make a little bit more money and have a better offering. We can cover more debt. Look, there are gas stations here. Let's just kind of go over higher margin locations, City of Atlanta locations. We have locations making 50 cents to $1 a gallon. Believe me, I can take you to them. Okay. Yeah. I can take you to him. One just sold for $11 million. He sells 160,000 gallons a month and he makes $1 a gallon. Okay. Yeah. So you can cover a lot of debt with that. Okay. So if you've got racetrack, so I'm not saying racetrack is, I don't know, I'm not privy to what racetrack or Quick Trip or anybody else makes per gallon, but I can tell you this, they cannot build $8 million and $10 million locations and make 5 cents. Don't math. Okay. So, so you can cover them. And that's why I think you're going to see these margins that, where I'm at, we say 20 is just just kind of a round number. You got locations doing 25, you got locations doing 30, $1, it's kind of market specific, but I just to kind of, my rule of thumb is I go in with 20. Okay. 20. And then if I'm like, hey, if I'm off by $500, it does not determine whether I'm going to buy or sell a location. That's not enough. That now
Sure.
I can say, okay, well, we can look deeper into the margin. Oh, you're making 28 cents. Okay, well, I really like this location that much more. So those are the things that we pay attention to when we're looking, sizing a location up.
Super helpful. Yeah. And even when we look at the convenience store, right? Is there like go-to products where like these are my high margin ones, like guaranteed? Like, is it cigarettes? Is it the booze? Is it, I don't know, the gum? There's always like hundreds of packs of gum in there. Like, well, what's the high margin product that you're trying to move as much as possible?
Well, most of your money's going to come out of the cooler. Okay. By the time you put beer and drinks together, that's going to be your most money of the store is probably going to come out of that cooler. Your highest single category item is probably going to be cigarettes, believe it or not. Now, it's not going that arrow is not going up and to the right, okay, because it's not a category that's as popular. So we, beverages are going to be, that cooler, the stuff comes out of coolers will be our number one category, our number one. The square footage in the store is going to get the most sales, drive the most sales. It's going to come out of there. The things that are kind of new entrants that are really adding a lot of money to the bottom line is these novelty products. That's going to be, vapes, Kratom, the Delta 8, the things that don't appeal to me at all. I mean, these guys are making 40, 50, 60% on those items. And some locations, I mean, you might be in a location that's, real affluent and, this doesn't appeal to anybody. You might be only 5% of your sales. You can get to a neighborhood that really caters to that sort of stuff, a more blue collar neighborhood. You might be 25% of your gross sales coming off of items that you're making 40 to 60% off of. So that energy. So novelty, energy drinks, vapes, man, that's a big part of that's a big part of our net income.
Amazing. And I want to, you and I jammed on content for quite a bit, so I gotta wrap up with this question. But you also had another post on Twitter about how restaurants or just other brick and mortar concepts can actually do a good job by combining with the gas station. And I forget which post it was, but you mentioned like a drive-through specific concept, like or model could work. Could you just I think that would be interesting we have a lot of restaurant operators in the audience that. How do you view that synergy between the gas station and maybe a QSR, I think it was?
Yeah, there's a really good opportunity for that. One of my friends here in town, he did a good job with Guthrie's, which is kind of a newer concept, I'm assuming. I'm just really starting to see him show up all over the place where I live. And what they've done is, the development costs are locking us out of a lot of the locations, not just us, but also a franchisee, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you're going, hey, how can we spread that? Okay, well, back to a real popular concept right now are these travel centers. So like Travel Centers of America, you stop there, you're not just going to get gas, but inside of there may be 2 or 3 franchises. Okay, and now, those franchises that could not do a standalone, they have an opportunity, just kind of like a mall or whatever. And so, like for me, I love it. I want to get as many people I can link up with in franchising and get, we may have a drive-through window accessible. One of the biggest mistakes on a top 10 mistake I made on a location, I was the only location that was permitted for a drive-through window off the exit. And I sold that location just because it was during COVID and I was trying to raise cash because I thought the world was ending. And it was a very big, it's a no-brainer because a lot of us have them, you want them, and we don't know. Like, you just got to go, you can do your zoning, due diligence in the community and say, oh, that place is labeled for a convenience, is labeled for a drive-through window. Hey, how can I get in there? Because the way I view it, I don't think that I'd rather not run a kitchen and do fried chicken. Okay, at my location. It's necessity if you want to be a top tier operator. So if I can have Guthrie's come in or Bojangles or whatever, and they can, man, we're driving sales. So I think it's a great idea.
I see. So it's a magnet to get foot traffic in.
Because they're not going to buy. Maybe they're not going to buy the higher priced, fountain drink at Bojangles. Maybe they're going to come or whatever. I'm not picking on Bojangles. Whatever that QSR is. And maybe they're going to come over and get a case of water from my store, And so there's some general, actual synergies, or maybe they're going to fill up with gas because now they're stopping to get their family dinner.
Yeah, exactly. It's two in one shot there.
Yeah. You know, you don't see as much of it. And I know there's some, you know, problems, you know, like don't want too many cars in the lot. We need them off the lot. So we have a good traffic flow. And man, it makes a lot of sense, especially at these interstate locations.
Incredible. Fascinating stuff, man. Well, I'm going to have to bring you on for part 2 because we're going to cut this one. We're right on time. We're about a half hour in. Okay, but I'm going to, folks, if you don't follow Gas Biz, you got to follow him everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. He is, as he stated early on, he is the guy for gas business, and yeah, no one else is allowed to talk about it. So we'll plug all your social accounts in the show notes, and I'll obviously be promoting this episode. So yeah, thanks a lot for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me on, man. It means a lot, especially when you get a high quality account that comes to you. That's always a great honor. And so, best of luck, you know, as you continue your journey and continue to expand your presence, because, you know, we need more guys like you out there. Like I said, I mean, there's a few accounts that I look up to. You are on that. I'm going to say Mount Rushmore of accounts that I look at that if I could emulate.
I appreciate that.
And I just think does good content, is good for the community, and just a genuinely good person with good intentions. So we need more of you.
Appreciate that, man.
It doesn't have to be all driven just based on controversy. So it's great. So
100%.
Thank you very much. You know, as an aside, you know, if you need something along the way, call me up, man. I'm a resource for you. I'm gonna help you get going. Okay.
Awesome. All right, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, we'll have you again on, like I said, for a part 2. So yeah, man, we'll talk soon.
You let me know, man. I'm here for it.
Appreciate you.
Right,
thank you, man.
Thanks for listening to Franchise Empires. We're coming to you soon with actionable insights to take the next step on your franchise journey. So make sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen.